record.
Yeah, live recording.
But I think everybody has to get their own Facebook account, and that's what you use to log into those.
And make sure that we know our passwords.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Chattanooga's Sunday celebration service. My name is Penny, and I'm honored to be here with you this morning on this special day of Father's Day. First, let me thank Landis for always opening our service with your soulful energy and your songs. It's always a wonderful way to start our Sunday mornings. And I also want to say thank you to all the people who are behind the scenes making this all happen. All of you on Facebook this morning who are watching from your homes, be sure to like us and share your comments. And don't forget that you can share this unity message with anyone you think might be encouraged by the words. Unity is an inclusive spiritual community that not only embraces practical Christianity, but combines ancient wisdom with new thought teachings, so we can all have a richer life experience. We join with Unity Worldwide Ministries in creating a world that works for all. And guess what, everybody? We have a whole bunch of new people with us here this morning. We have some folks joining us from Fort Collins, and from Texas.
All right.
And even though she's been with us for a year, she's coming all the way from California, way in the back there. And we have a special way that we want you to know that we definitely welcome your presence here with us today. So everybody, warm up those hands and get that energy going, and let's send that blessing to each of them. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. You know, June is a very busy month. First of all, it's Pride Month, and tomorrow is also Juneteenth, which is the celebration of when the slaves in Galveston, Texas were freed nearly 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. But today is Father's Day. And we are here to honor the paternal strength and the wisdom in whatever form that takes. It's a time when we think of all the men in our lives who have given their love, their time, their support, their dedication that has added to the richness of our lives. And today we get to express that gratitude and our deepest appreciation in so many ways. Perhaps you want to share a sentimental note with one of those little tearjerker lines like, out of all the dads in the world, I got the very best one. Or, Dad, you're the man who made me the person I am today. And if your dad is no longer with us in person, you can still send out a shout out from your heart and let them know you're thinking of them today and thinking of the memories that you shared together. And if you and your dad didn't always share the best of times, a simple Happy Father's Day and may God bless you will do. Or you can joke around like my family likes to do, and you can lighten things up with a little silly dad joke like, you're the best dad ever. I mean, look how I turned out. So now, as we take the time to stand and greet each other this morning, be sure to say a few words of appreciation to all the men that are here today.
You know what? Hey, thank you. Thanks. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can. Oh, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and bump somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, reach out, fist bump somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can, come on, find your seats. Find your seats. Yeah, make this world a better place. If you can, reach out, fist bump somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can. Make this world a better place. If you can. An only child alone, wild, a cabinet maker's son. His hands were meant for different work, and his heart was known to none. He left his home and went his lone, solitary way, and he gave to me a gift I know I never can repay. A quiet man of music, denied a simpler fate. He tried to be a soldier once, but his music wouldn't wait. He earned his love through discipline, a thundering velvet hand. His gentle means of sculpting souls Took me years to understand. The leader of the band is tired. His eyes are growing old, but his blood runs through my instrument, and his song is in my soul. My life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I'm just a living legacy to the leader of the band. I thank you for the music, the stories of the road. I thank you for the freedom when it came my time to go. I thank you for the kindness in the times when you got tough. But Papa, I don't think I said I love you near enough. The leader of the band is tired and his eyes are growing old, but his blood runs through my instrument, and his song is in my soul. My life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I'm just a living legacy to the leader of the band. The leader of the band is tired. His eyes are growing old, but his love runs through my instrument, and his song is in my soul. My life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I'm just a living legacy to the leader of the band.
Wow. Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, buddy. That was singer-songwriter Dan Fogelbert's tribute to his dad. And it's always touching to hear that. Our treasure map is growing. You know, it's and some of the pictures are now in color, and rumor has it there's opportunities already afoot. So if you've got some pictures that you want to share about what our future church home is going to be, feel free to bring them up. We've got little stick pins up here. Don't worry if it seems a little cluttered. It's all good. So just put it right up there. Yeah. Well, Father's Day. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's the now familiar beginning of what has become known as the Lord's Prayer, found in the 6th chapter of Matthew, in the middle of 3 chapters that have become known as the Sermon on the Mount. It's the beginning of Jesus' ministry, just after his temptation in the wilderness, where he starts to teach his disciples and a large crowd. Oliver Wendell Holmes, the great Supreme Court judge, said, "My religion is summed up in the first 2 words of the Lord's Prayer." But those first 2 words immediately created a big problem with the ruling priests and hierarchy in the Hebrew culture. Elohim, God of the northern tribes, was remote and feared, just as their king was. You never saw the king, but if there was something out of line in one of the provinces, the army was sure to show up. Once a year, the chief priest would go into the inner sanctuary of the temple where they believed that God lived. He went in with offerings for the forgiveness of the people's sins, whatever they may have been or may not have been. And the other priests tied a rope around his leg to drag him out in case God killed him. Jehovah God in the southern tribes was a little more friendly and accessible. Now that's the God who walked and talked with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But we all know what happened when they ate the forbidden apple. You're out of here and don't come back. And by the way, life's going to be a lot harder from here on in. Nice guy. For the Hebrews, God was viewed as an anthropomorphic male being on a greater dimension who was all-powerful, judgmental, and harsh. And their religion used animal sacrifices and taxes to appease and for glory, which, by the way, happened to support a large hierarchy of priests, scribes, and rulers. Well, the Greek and Roman civilizations of the day were very similar, with a variety of gods which had behaviors similar to the powerful men of their culture who controlled things and meted out consequences if you stepped out of line. Jesus had a very completely different understanding of God. When Jesus said, "Our Father," our was inclusive. That meant God was everybody's Father, the Greeks, the Romans, even the Samaritans. For there is neither Jew nor Greek, neither bond nor free, chosen nor unchosen, as the Apostle Paul later reiterated. With one word, he ends the concept of a chosen race, about the spiritual superiority of any one group of human beings over any other group. He cuts away the illusion that the members of any nation, any race, territory, class, or color are, in the sight of God, superior to any other group. The word Jesus used for father in Aramaic was Abba, which had a meaning closer to daddy. It had a feeling of intimacy with qualities of love, of forgiveness, strength, and protection all combined. The polar opposite of a stern, wrathful, remote, and judgmental God of the Hebrew culture. Here, with one word, Jesus lays down once and for all the relationship between God and man is that of father and child. This cuts out any possibility that the deity could be the relentless and cruel tyrant or despot that was often pictured in the theologies of the day. And with two words, he swept away 99% of the old theology with its avenging God, its chosen and favored people and classes, its eternal hellfire, and all the other structures and paraphernalia of man's imagination and creation. God exists, he said. And the eternal, all-powerful, all-present God is the loving Father of humankind. What a contrast between the power of physical force that men knew and were using and the spiritual power of love that Jesus knew and was teaching. Teaching not only about God, but the creative divine forces within each one of us for us to bring forth. Be perfect, therefore, he said, as your heavenly Father is perfect. This interpretation was too much. Heresy, they said 2,000 years ago. And that gap between power and love associated with men or a male figure continues to this day. Martin Luther King noted it this way. He said, one of the great problems of history is that the concepts of love and power have usually been contrasted as opposites, polar opposites. so that love is identified with a resignation of power and power with a denial of love. We've got to get this thing right. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is often sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. It is precisely this collision of immoral power and powerless morality that constitutes the major crisis of our time. Well, this gap between power and love is historical. It's cultural. And it's a dilemma that every man, every father, and every caregiver has faced. Boys are taught at a young age to be tough, to deny their emotions. And there are few role models that demonstrate how to balance the masculine characteristics of strength, courage, protection, focus, and willpower with the spiritual qualities of compassion, forgiveness, surrender, and love. On the horns of that dilemma is every one of our fathers. Now, some did it better than others, but as we talk about Father's Day this morning, the memories that it brings up for some of us are sometimes a little difficult. But there's good news. Today, there is a new thought developing. The idea of the divine masculine based on the Master's teachings. A focus and an articulation of the particular male strengths that, when understood and practiced, will lead to an integration of these seemingly opposite characteristics. In the early 2000s, Brian Gumbel conducted a TV interview with Joe Ehrman, and he was the coach of Gilman High School, a private prep school in the Baltimore area. The team had been number 1 in their league for the past several years, undefeated in 3 of the last 5 seasons, and number 13 in the entire country in one of those years. And the topic of that interview was raising our boys better. And it focused on Ehrman's success as a coach and his unusual training for his athletes. Instead of the usual macho football culture, Ehrman taught his players to express their masculinity through such touchy-feely concepts as caring and sharing and, believe it or not, affection, if you can believe that, on a football field. Instead of the usual yelling at players about what they did wrong, he'd say things like, "We're going to be coaching you here and loving you and teaching you up." He focused and highlighted on what they did right. There was no verbal abuse. There was no trash talk. Our goal, he said, is to bring these boys together in one community, one team, loving each other. We tell them you're not competing with the guy next to you. You're competing with yourself. Now, as a professional football player himself for 13 years with the Baltimore Colts, Ehrman taught and drilled the basics of football fundamentals. No question about that. But he also created an organization called Building Men for Others, about changing the values and the consciousness of boys. It's about helping boys to become men of integrity and character and empathy that will help them to become responsible and change the world for good. Those were his very words. He redefines masculinity based on 2 things: relationships and having a cause greater than yourself. He says these are the same principles that Jesus taught when he said, "Love one another, and whoever wants to be great among you must first be your servants." In relationships, he challenges his players to ask themselves, what kind of a son am I? What kind of a friend am I? What kind of a neighbor am I? What kind of a father and husband do I want to be? He created a code for his team members, and one of them was that no one ever sits alone at lunchtime, even if they're not a team member. You either go over and sit with them or invite them over to your table. And what he was doing is teaching them how to look outside of themselves. When it comes to looking at a cause greater than yourself, it was all about moving past the me mentality, which is so prevalent in teenagers. He invites these young men to make a positive difference in the world, using examples of men that they are familiar with. Before the final game of every season, he has each senior write an essay about what they want others to say about them when they're gone. He has each boy stand up before the entire team and read that essay. And at 18 years old, that's pretty powerful stuff. One of Joe's assistant coaches remarked, "What happens when you decide to be a man built for others?" Well, when you become a CEO of a company, you make sure that everyone has a living wage and that everyone has insurance. As a man, you treat people with dignity and with respect. As a football player, you play every single snap as best you can with all of your talent, because you're not playing just for yourself, but for everyone on your team. And as a father, you make sure that you focus on what your wife and children need. You do the things that you know you're supposed to do. Well, today is Father's Day. And on the surface, it's about saying thanks to our dads for all the things that they've done and they've been to us. But on a deeper level, it's also about coming to peace with those things in our upbringing that perhaps didn't seem to work out so well. It's about realizing that those qualities of strength and courage and loving protection that perhaps weren't there to our satisfaction when we were 15 and 16 years old have always been there from our Heavenly Father. Others are recognizing this and bringing it forward. We just have to be open to finding those qualities within us, bringing them forward just as Coach Ehrmond and others are doing today. Well, this morning is another celebration. It's another celebration about how in the past 8 weeks we have formed some teams, some spirit groups, and brought forth not only some of these characteristics, but some of the characteristics of a spiritual life that we talk about every Sunday. And so this morning, I want to introduce those spirit groups and let them tell you all about their experience. So let us begin with Eric and Laura Miller. Oh no, Steve, what did you do? Something's changed on my computer. We were messing with it a little bit this morning to...
I changed your power settings, but...
here we go. All right. All right, we got it, I think. Laura, you can use the clickers.
Right.
This is new. Is this the second time we've used the board?
Fellowship Reimagined.
The second time we've used the projector?
That's not part of the presentation. Okay. Are you doing it?
No, you do it.
Okay.
You got the clicker.
All right. So we had the in-person spirit group. So our spirit. Oh, can you hear me?
There you go.
We had the in-person spirit group. So our spirit group was actually at our home, and everybody came there. So we decided to have a little bit more of a loose attitude toward attendance, which was fun because we had a few people that came in because they could sometimes, and sometimes they missed. So we really had a good time though, and we always had at least 5 people, and sometimes we had up to like 8 or 9. So it was super fun, and we did the Eye of the Storm. We got to choose our curriculum. Bader gave us lots of fun choices, so I went through all the different curriculum and chose Gary Simmons' Eye of the Storm, which was a really beneficial book for me. I found that I sort of thought that, I don't have conflict in my life, but when I really thought about it, I think it's because I really avoid conflict in my life. So I learned a lot from that. And did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, just echoing what she said. Yeah, we went through the list and we thought, well, this is going to be a challenging book, embracing conflict and creating peace. So it sounds good. The very first chapter starts out with this idea: no one is against you, and that's a big pill to swallow, in chapter 1. But it was after this awesome foreword, which I highly recommend anyone read just for the foreword. He does this great visualization of, imagine you're up in the heavens and you're happy and you're with your friends, and a call comes out for volunteers, and for volunteers to go to this little planet in the Milky Way to help with what's going on there. And so some people chose to be here. So he starts out with the idea, we all chose to be here. So that's how he kind of makes that no one is against you point of view. But he had so many great metaphors, and the storm is really one of them. And like Laura, I mean, I think we both learned a lot out of it. And our group was fun, and people came, and we got to know, in a small group situation over the course of 7 weeks, and then we went out and we did a fun drum circle out at Harrison Bay Park. Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what we did.
Yeah, talk about what we did.
Okay, so we'll start over here since Eric was just talking about the drum circle. We went out to Harrison Bay and we kind of walked in the woods. We walked the wrong way the first time, and then we turned around and we found a place next to the lake. You can see the lake there in the background, and that's Kelly and Eric and Eva, Corey, Reverend Doug, and I took the picture. So it was really a lovely day, and we all had a picnic. The last day of our spirit group, we went for a walk out just by our house and just walked around. We live on a closed golf course, so we walked around the golf course and found some blackberries growing wild, and lots of Amanda and Corey helped us. Oh, I said that was, I'm sorry. That's, no, that's Eva. Yeah, you're right. So Amanda spotted some blackberries, though, and that was a lot of fun. And then we went over to Stand Up for Place, which is where Joe is. And if you guys haven't been over there, it was really lovely, and we got to have a movie night. That was their idea for what we could do as an activity, and we showed Bruce Almighty, and everybody really enjoyed it, except for one lady who was offended. And there's Joe and Lynn and Corey and Reverend Doug and Kelly and me and Eric. And then this is just a picture of the room the night that we had it. So we had a lot of fun.
And that's part of the thing of the spirit group. You get together and you form this, a small group, and then you go out and you do a fun thing together, and then you do a charitable thing together. And it was really amazing with the Stand Up for Gap. You could tell, even though we were just watching a movie, the joy that we brought to all the people in Stand Up for Place. There is a street named Stanford
there's
Gap. Yeah.
Stanford Gap.
Just moved here from almost a year. Next month it'll be a year that we moved here from Las Vegas. So I'm still learning the streets. Stanford Gap, Stanford Place. But it was heartening. I mean, it's hard to sometimes see people in the situation that they can be in, but to put a smile on their face, I mean, that was a good night. A Tuesday night, we put a smile on a dozen people's face, and that was a good feeling. So that's part of the idea, I think, right, Phaedra, of the spirit group, that communal joy. So I would highly encourage anyone who's thinking about it. We're gonna, I know in the future, we're gonna have various topics available, and if you want to commit, and have some fun. So.
Great. So next up we have Phaedra. Oh, nice.
Good morning. My name is Phaedra Roberts, and I was the facilitator for the online Zoom spirit group, and we did the 5 principles. And I was so lucky to be in the group with fabulous people who just made it. Everybody brought their own little flavor to the group, and it turned out awesome. So I want to introduce those people. Lynn Chartier, Judy Hill, Gloria Hastings, Melissa Long, and Nicole Wellington. So, yeah. So the Spirit Group program is built around 5 disciplines that we call the 5 C's, and they're on the slide there. And in the handout you received when you came in the door today, there's more information about how these 5 C's fit into spirit groups. And please look at that at your leisure, and hope you enjoy that. At this time, Nicole is going to share with you about the curriculum we studied, some of our activities, and a tool that we learned to use when applying the 5 principles to our life.
So this is the 5 principles, and Judy actually has the book right here. We didn't have to order the book. We did have a video curriculum. Our group is a virtual group, so we met on Zoom, and we were able to watch the video. So here's the 5 principles that are listed right there. And I'm going to give example at least 2 of them in just a second. So the third one we used was a vision board. And I'm so glad that Brother Doug's talked about the vision board for the church building that we're looking for. This kind of went right along with it. And here's some examples of some of our vision boards right there. Let's pause so people can see that. Yeah, that was principle 3. Okay. And then principle 5. So that is part of, this was a checklist that we got right here on the other side of our paper. Right, let's see. Down here at the bottom. So everybody has this paper. If you came in, if you didn't get one, you can get one. This is the 5th principle. It's a checklist from the book before taking action to ask yourself. And there's 4 things on here, and we talked about this one week. We kind of did it as our homework and then came back and discussed it. And I feel like when you're asking questions, you're pursuing, and not just pursuing answers, but going deeper. So this was a tool that we use, part of Principle 5, about what to do or what to ask yourself before taking action in anything.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Well, because we were a Zoom spirit group, we needed to do our, oh, thank you. We needed to do our community service project through Zoom. Well, we thought about it, and some of us had been in a Power of Eight prayer group before with good results. And so that's what we chose to do for our community project. For those of you who may not know exactly what a Power of Eight prayer group is, it's a method of group prayer based on Lynn McTaggart's book, which pictured right here, called The Power of Eight. And Lynn began doing extensive research in the early 2000s that proved that collectively intending, in other words, visualizing positive intentions as a group, amplifies the power of the intentional prayer. It seems to tap into a mystical and divine state, as she says, that's beyond our individual selves. So in a Power of Eight session, how it works is you have about 6 to the optimal number of 8. People agree ahead of time for at least 3 intentions that they want to focus on during a 1-hour prayer session. And during that session, there's a leader who states 1 intention at a time. And at that point, for 8 to 10 minutes, each person in the group focuses for a few moments on connecting each other through heart love. And then they visualize together the positive outcome. And it's like they're calling it forth from the field of possibilities. Reverend Doug has talked about that a lot in his talks on prayer. And what's noteworthy is that this method completely aligns with Unity's 4th principle, which states prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God-mind and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. So on this slide over here, you'll see our prayer intentions that we did in our group time. We went all out. Actually, I didn't know at the time that we should only do about 3, but we're learning. So we really went after it, and the first one was a new church home, the perfect place that we all are visioning for ourselves. Then the success of our Unity outreach programs, such as what Mona does with the homeless. And there will be other ones, I'm sure. Affirmations of healing for certain people we know need those prayers in our community. The possibility of someday bringing forth maybe a little group that wants to do some art journaling as a spiritual practice. There's someone in our group that's talented with that. And so we'll see how that works. And then the last one was the success of the Chattanooga Aquatic Project. Audrey Ramsey is very involved with that and has really done a lot to work on that. So those were our intentions. And then I wanted to give you a quote from Lynn McTaggart. She says, I think a huge part of it has to do with the power of getting off of yourself and setting an intention for someone else. Another is the connection created in a group. That's really, really big, really important. When we engage together in an activity like praying or setting altruistic intentions, we create a powerful virtual circle that proves healing to both the receivers and the senders. So that kind of sums it up. Who's next? Judy, do you want that?
Oh, yeah, I better. Oh. Okay, so. Yeah. So all of the groups will have a social event, just like Laura and Eric's group had a social event. But for us, since we were on Zoom, we were like, oh, we're going to do our social event on Zoom. And so we actually did this the other day. It was Friday. I am a Mary Kay beauty consultant, and so we had a virtual beauty session. And it was so much fun. I think, let's see. Okay, so we took a new picture. All of us had these cute little headbands and that color hair back. And Steve Hastings got in that picture too with Gloria. Kind of slipped in there. He was coming home for lunch. So we got that picture though, Steve. So this is what we did as our social. It was about an hour, hour and a half. And we had so much fun. So another way of connecting, it is totally possible if you're on Zoom. We're all scattered. I'm in Dalton, you're in Lafayette, Winchester, another time zone, and then in Chattanooga. So there's ways that we can be connected. So we just did this on Friday.
Okay, this is just sort of testimonial time. And with the 5 principles, I do the 5-finger note-taking here. So number 1 is that, I've had a lot of previous experience in unity communities, like 43 years worth. And so I've even taken a class with this book and others. But this experience with the Spirit group was just deeper and just impacted me much more. And also the connection with your group, even Zoom. I'm not a techie person, I'm an in-person person. But, it was still a wonderful experience for me. And I'm truly grateful to know all of these beautiful spiritual friends better than I did before. Also heightened experience and connection to God through the prayer and meditation principles. And it was just wonderful to be able to watch the videos with the author of this book, who is still, she's highly evolved, but still growing and evolving and sharing that with us. And one thing she gave, I feel, to me, like we all feel Doug is speaking directly to us, I have, even though I've been in unity all these years, I have had a challenge with meditation. And Ellen Davenport mentioned just these 2 words. Wordless prayer is what meditation is. And now that just takes me there. Like I move into the silence, just sink into it, feel that communion. So that was such a gift. So I'm grateful for that very precious personal gift, for the beautiful spirits here that I've come to know more, Phaedra as our leader, and to Unity of Chattanooga for providing this opportunity. Thank you.
Good morning. Hey. Is this thing on? Okay. Before I start, I just have to give a quick plug to Nicole. She's a great Mary Kay consultant. We had an outstanding time. So if you want to have your skincare program assessed, if you want to have a new look, or maybe like Steve, you just want to maintain that youthful glow, I would encourage you to contact Nicole. Okay. Before I start again, I'd like to say Happy Father's Day, Happy Juneteenth, and Happy Pride Month. And I'm happy to be here today to share my experiences in a spirit group, because it was all good. I expected to receive some gifts from a spirit group. If you're wondering why should I join a spirit group, I can offer some compelling reasons. One, it is fun, and I'm all about fun. But there was some other stuff that happened too. You get, as I said, the things I was seeking: companionship, getting closer to these lovely ladies, these gifted educators, and the very talented artists. I learned so much from them. And I was in an environment of acceptance, non-judgment. Those things are important too. Compassion, support. We all need those things. But I had a couple of experiences I wasn't really anticipating, some gifts. It's like Easter eggs, an Easter egg hunt. Easter eggs just show up at every session. It's really cool. And the first thing that happened to me that I wasn't anticipating was some resistance. I felt some real resistance to one of the chapters in the book. But in the spirit group, it's a very safe place to explore spiritual themes. And I was able to share my concerns in a very supportive environment. No one judged me. They accepted me, offered me support. And it gave me a chance to go on one of those soul-searching journeys, read a lot, listen to people, get on YouTube, have to limit that. But then also a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. And I was able to understand what that point of resistance was. And not only that, I was able to get past it, to shift my perspective, to think a new thought. And now I don't have that resistance any longer. But it was great to be challenged. It's always good when people put that in front of you, you take it on, and you cross the finish line. So I'm grateful for that. I couldn't have done it without my sisters. Another thing that happened is just a quick context. I come from a long line of stiff upper lips. And stiff upper lip people typically don't ask for help because we don't need it. We're more than happy to rush to the aid of another. Hey, you need help? I'm there. But it's a little harder for us to ask for help or to accept help. But during one of these sessions, I had what I call a rare moment of vulnerability, a meltdown. I just fell apart. But again, my sisters were there for me, lifted me up, supported me, encouraged me. And I was able to get through that moment. And not just get through a moment, but to see it in a new way, to develop spiritual awareness, and to just see things in a more positive light. And that was a really big thing for me, because now I know it's okay to ask for help. I don't always have to be the strong one. And there's a lot of strength with women, with friendships, with people in our congregation. There's just so much help out there, and I wish I'd asked sooner. But so if you are thinking about joining a spirit group, I encourage you to take that step today. This is one of those times when you just have to grab your faith and lean into it, and just not think about it. Brush aside any concerns you might have. And the last thought I will leave you with is to accept what is offered. It might change your life. Thank you.
Lord, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Gloria. During the summer, spirit groups don't utilize a video curriculum since people are traveling for vacations, weddings, graduations, all kind of things. However, we do stay connected. Now, we found the Power of Eight prayer experience to be so powerful in connecting that we plan to continue that experience during the summer together, and we invite you to join us in this and other connection activities that we'll make available. If you would like more information about the planned summer spirit group activities, you can scan the purple barcode on this handout, and it will take you to a Google form where you just provide your name and your contact information. There was also a little half sheet of paper that was handed out today. If you would rather use pencil and paper to give us that information, that works too. If you will just leave it in your seat today, and I'll pick it up after church. And then I'll put all those emails together, and I'll send out an email to let you know about when we're going to do a Power of Eight group and some other activities for connection. Before I finish, I want to thank Laura Miller for completing the new host training and co-leading a spirit group with Eric this spring. I appreciate the time and the dedication and the effort they put into their group. Many thanks to all the participants in both spirit groups for giving their time and helping to create infinite connections as we work toward our church mission to create connection and community and be an engaging center for education, prayer, and compassionate support. And on behalf of the spirit groups, I wish all the fathers and the father figures out there happy Father's Day, happy Juneteenth tomorrow, and happy Pride Month to everyone. Thank you.
Yay.
I just feel really moved to thank Phaedra, because if she hadn't gone to all the work and trouble to get trained in this whole thing, we wouldn't have had this wonderful experience. So let's acknowledge her work.
Hey, all right.
All right. Wow. Well, Phaedra Roberts, I need you front and center. As we know, no good deed ever goes unpunished. What I want to tell you is that Phaedra was the one who, first of all, discovered this program, who piloted it, who put her own money and her own efforts into it to develop it. And it has been a phenomenal success. You know, phenomenal success. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to give you this little gift. It's a card, and there might be something else in there for you. There might be. You never know. You never know. And one of the things about spirit groups, and I was involved with one of them, one of the things about spirit groups so often, and for those of you who've been at Unity churches for a while, you hear a good Sunday sermon, you may read the book, and it's all up here, you know. And our fifth principle is you can know all this stuff, but until you put feet on the ground, until you go into action, until you partner with other people and try to live these principles, it just stays up here. And this was beautiful. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you, Phaedra. I feel so good this morning. Well, this is a time in our service when we choose to give back, when we have an opportunity to just practice gratitude. And so I would invite you to simply reach in your pocket or in your purse, turn it upside down, empty it right out. I need all that stuff. So just take your tithes and your offerings in your hand and repeat with me our offering statement together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I receive in abundance. It's a 2-usher Sunday.
All things beautiful and all things good and all illusion misunderstood. In peace and mindfulness all fade into the light. Spirit makes all things beautiful in my life.
And so we give thanks for these tithes and these offerings so freely given from hearts filled and overflowing with abundance. And as we say and as we know every Sunday, from our hearts flow through our families, for our friends, for those people that we work with, through this community, and through us, this feeling of abundance, gratitude, appreciation of God's presence in our lives goes forth to the world. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
In peace and mindfulness all fade into the light. Spirit makes all things beautiful in my life.
So we just have a few announcements to end with today. I wanted to remind you that Dancing with Spirit on Sunday mornings at 10:30 is taking a break for the summer, but we'll let you know when that starts up again. And on the center back table, we have registration forms for our annual Unity Retreat at the beautiful Lake Junaluska that's coming October 3rd through October 6th. And the theme this year is Enlighten Up. I also want to tell you about the great lineup we have coming over the next 2 weeks. Next Sunday, we have invited guest speaker Reverend Sean O'Shea back and his wonderful, talented wife, Lori, who will present the music and the message. His talk is called Brick by Brick, and it's about trusting God enough to hand over all of your worries to Him. And following that week, on July the 2nd, we have invited for the very first time Reverend Steve Boland to come and speak. He is a retired Unity minister who also loves the Course in Miracles. He has led several very successful Unity churches across the southern United States, including Christ Unity Church over on McBrien Avenue. He was actually the minister there back in the 1980s. And I think you will all agree that that was one terrific service this morning. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Rev Doug, for inviting us all to become a deeper expression of that masculine divine in each of us. And also to remind you that we have a table in the back where we have some Unity t-shirts as well as some other items for sale, and all of those proceeds go to the building fund. And even though our service was wonderful this morning, we have something more in store. We are serving up a pancakes for pop breakfast this morning in the back, and I hope that you'll all be able to stay and join us. So why don't we all stand now in place and join in singing our peace song.
Take your time.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, in oneness all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and now is well. And now, let's eat.